Once upon a time, in a big city full of tall buildings and busy streets, there lived a rich and powerful businesswoman named Eleanor Grant. She was the owner of a large real estate company. Everyone in the city knew her name. She wore expensive clothes, drove luxury cars, and appeared on TV and magazines. People called her successful, strong, and smart, but behind her smile, Eleanor was not a kind person. She became rich by hurting others. She paid bribes to win deals, used lies to steal land, and forced poor families out of their homes. She didn't care who got hurt, as long as she made more money. One day, Eleanor wanted to build a shopping mall in an old part of the city. The land was owned by small business owners who had worked there for many years. One of them was a little tailor shop called Harper Company, owned by a quiet old man and his teenage daughter, Emma Harper. The shop was their life. It had been in their family for 2 generations. Eleanor offered to buy the land, but Mr. Harper refused. She tried many things to convince the man, but he didn't accept her offer. They didn't want to lose their shop. It was their home. Eleanor became angry. She created fake papers saying she owned the land. Then she sent workers to tear down the buildings, including the tailor shop. Emma and her father stood outside crying, but no one helped them. Just weeks later, Emma's father passed away from stress and heartbreaking. Emma was sad. She had no family left and nowhere to go. Many years passed. The world changed, and so did the city. New buildings rose where the old ones fell. News headlines moved on. People forgot the little tailor shop. Eleanor Grant rose higher in power. Her name became even more feared in the business world. Every month, her face was on a new magazine cover: Top 100 CEOs, Woman of the Year, Empire Builder. She stood tall in her success, wearing diamonds and surrounded by lawyers and guards. The past meant nothing to her now. She had won, but Emma never forgot. She had nothing when she left the city, just a small suitcase, an old photo of her father, and the quiet fire of purpose in her heart. She moved far away, living in a tiny apartment, working part-time jobs to pay her way through school. While others laughed and partied, Emma studied late into the night. Law books became her world. She learned how the system worked, and how it could be used not to harm, but to protect. She studied real estate law, corporate fraud, and land rights. Every case she read reminded her of what she lost. She didn't dream of revenge with fire or fist. She wanted justice that lasted, truth that couldn't be destroyed like her father's shop. She wanted to build something stronger than rage. After 10 long years, Emma returned to the city, but not as the same girl who cried in the rain outside her broken home. She walked differently now. Her voice was calm. Her eyes held quiet strength. She changed her name to Emily Harlow, not to hide who she was, but to walk through the same doors that had once been slammed in her face. And then, one morning, she entered Eleanor Grant's company. The tall glass building, once a symbol of fear, now reflected Emma's determined face in its mirror-like windows. She submitted her resume under her new name, with flawless credentials. Her interview was sharp, professional, and controlled. Eleanor sat across the desk, scanning the documents with cold eyes. To her, Emily was just another bright young lawyer, another tool in her empire. Eleanor never recognized the quiet fire behind the smile. Weeks turned into months. Emily worked hard, always the last to leave. She never drew attention to herself. She asked smart questions, showed respect, and followed orders, but behind that polite face, she watched. She studied how Eleanor moved money, how contracts were written, how land was claimed, and who was paid under the table. Slowly, carefully, she began gathering pieces, files, emails, old purchase records. Late at night, while the office lights dimmed and the city outside blinked with neon life, Emily sat alone in the legal archives. Page by page, signature by signature, she built a quiet case. She wasn't hunting revenge, she was planting justice, one document at a time, and the roots of that justice were deep. One rainy morning, Eleanor walked into her office. On her desk was a simple brown envelope. She opened it slowly. Inside were copies of old papers, fake land deals, illegal payments, and photos of the tailor shop being torn down. There was also a handwritten note: "You destroyed my father's life. Now the truth will destroy yours. Emma Harper." Eleanor froze. She couldn't believe it. Emily, her trusted employee, was the same girl she had ruined long ago. That week, everything began to fall apart. The police and news reporters came. Her crimes were exposed to the public. People she had stepped on finally spoke out. Her bank accounts were frozen. Her company shut down. Her big house was taken by the court. Eleanor, once on top of the world, now had nothing. 1 year later, on the same street where the old tailor shop once stood, a new office opened. The sign above the door read, "Harper Legal Aid, Justice for the Forgotten." It was not a clothing shop this time. It was a law chamber, created by Emma Harper to help people who were poor, cheated, or powerless, just like she once was. She gave free legal advice, helped save homes, and fought for small business owners in court. Emma used her painful past to protect others from the same kind of harm she had faced. She was no longer the quiet girl who lost everything. She had become a strong woman who gave others hope. One cold afternoon, as Emma was finishing paperwork, she heard a soft knock on the door. A tired, older woman stood outside in a warm coat, her hands shaking. Her eyes were dull, her face thin. It was Eleanor Grant. She looked weak and hopeless. Her money was gone. Her name was no longer respected. She stepped forward and whispered, "She needs help." Emma stood still behind her desk, holding a file in her hands. For a moment, she said nothing. Her eyes met Eleanor's, and then, without a word, Emma turned away. She walked back to her chair and calmly helped the next person in line, a mother facing eviction. Eleanor stood at the door, watching in silence. She walked away and became homeless. She did not know that life always comes full circle. What you do to others will always come back to you. If you hurt people to rise, you will fall alone. If you like this video, support me by subscribe, like, comment, and share.